Thank you all for coming out today for this workshop on collaborative AI in the classroom, presented by our CAT's Associate Director of Programming, Mark Stoll. So I'm looking forward to learning, just like the rest of you. We've got Janice online producing to help out with any technical issues, and I will be the voice of the chat over here in case anybody online has any questions that they just want to enter into the chat. And with that, here's Mark.
All right. Welcome to everybody that's here. I'm glad you're here. I will be going through some things fairly quickly, but please know that after this presentation, we will have a wiki post that will have all of the sources that I talked about. It will have my slides, and eventually it will have the awesome video of me being 5 miles away from the camera. And it's very helpful. As a matter of fact, there are some sources that I use from our wiki already in my presentation. So please you can go to our wiki and scroll down and you get to there's a lot of AI stuff and you can click on those, and we have a lot of really good documents and articles. So we're going to get started, and so this is...
Yo, listen up, it's time to learn. About the New Testament, knowledge to earn. Hinner's drop in wisdom, theological flow. How early Christians made their stories grow. New Testament, theological sensation. Interpreting scripture across every nation. From Mark...
Because I care, I'm stopping it there so you don't have to listen to the whole thing. That was a wrap that I did. 100% AI. And what am I trying to say with this slide? Powerful.
That you're hip and current with the trends?
Wrong. The point is, just because you can do it with AI doesn't mean you should. Okay, so that's it. Pretty simple.
Yo, listen up.
Oh, sorry. All right, so I want to give you explore how to use AI in the classroom. Most of it is how I do it, so they might all be wrong, but that's okay. Next, we'll discuss some strategies for using AI and collaborating with our students, and then promote educational outcomes through AI integration. That's important because there are students who will have an advantage that already have spent the money to have subscriptions. And I believe that if we're doing it in class, we are helping those who don't have those tools, and we can show them tools. We can give those to them so that they can be on level footing. So I think using it in the classroom is very important. All right, some misconceptions. We'll go over these really quick. There are faculty that believe AI is only for cheating. That's not true, but there is a faculty group that has said, what did were they an English department, Jay?
Yeah, they're composition faculty.
Composition faculty that got together, not Xavier faculty, composition faculty, and they said, we're going to ban it in our classes.
They're gonna refuse to use it in their classes.
Oh, refuse to use it. Thank you. Obviously, I haven't read the article. I heard Jay talking about it. Second, that it replaces critical thinking. It could, but as we look at it today, you're going to find out that because AI is not always reliable and we don't give AI good prompts, we have to use critical thinking when we get it. So that's a misconception. And it's the third, it's unreliable and bias laden. It's getting better, but it is unreliable and bias laden. And that we can use that as our benefit, because we can ask students to critically reflect on the data that they get from the AIs. So reasons that AI skills are essential for our students. It's already out there. I got a call from a friend of mine who's in charge of a marketing department, and she said that there was a new hire that just couldn't find the voice of where they were working. That new employee was supposed to do social media, so she said it's really important for her to get our voice when she's posting. And so I went over several AIs and showed her how to do it. I went into ChatGPT. You can set up your personal profile. So I got her to copy a lot of material from their website. And now that's part of the ChatGPT personality. I taught her how to role play, and evidently now her posts are better and they're closer to the new, closer to the message that they're trying to get. So it's already being used out there, and our students will be required to use it. And this person had no idea. She'd heard AI and didn't know what to do. So we need to let our students in on this and help them, because they will be using it in the future, and it will help them to be able to move into the various positions that they would want after they graduate. Some tips for faculty: set clear guidelines. I will show you something in a second that I thought was really helpful, and I'm going to use it in my classes. So set guidelines. Do integrate it into the curriculum slowly. Don't become, because none of us are AI experts, so don't just turn your class into a total AI class. Do small little experiments to see if they work. Tell the students that you're learning this together. And then also engage in professional development. CAT has done a ton of stuff in this regard. And as I just mentioned earlier, a lot of material is on our wiki page. You can always call us and ask for help, or go to our wiki page. There's some really good information there. Jay gave me a copy of this, and I'm hoping he'll let you share it. It's funny because the original assignment, can I use AI on this assignment? The original one, I can't find, because everybody has refined it over and over and over. So this is Jay's version, and I like it because he uses these little icons, so that when he has an assignment in class, he'll just put like a green exclamation, and the students will know you can do that, or a stop, and they can't use it at all. So I'm sure Jay will let you use this. You will have, it will be on the wiki. I'll put it on the wiki. Yeah. All right. So we can do tons of things in the classroom, and I wanted to show you some ways that I have done it. One is to ask your students to get in groups, because they're all on their computers and generally, or their iPads, and give them a question and have them submit that to AI and then discuss the answers. And I'll generally say, okay, you guys use ChatGPT, you guys use Perplexity, you guys use, another one and another one, Copilot and all that. And then we see how the different answers. And then a lot of times, which I think is helpful for students, we find out that some of the answers are wrong. So it gives them this healthy respect for AI, that they can't just cut and paste and throw it in a paper, because there are still some issues with it. And I've done that. I have given them a handout of a response from an AI on a particular issue that I thought, oh, this is good, because it came out pretty weak. And so I gave it to them, and then I asked them to look at it, critique it, And then there's also another aspect that we could do is ask them to create a better prompt so that the answer would be more to their liking. So I also show students how to create presentations quickly by using AI. Let me see if I can share. We have a subscription to Gamma at CAT, and so give me a topic that you want me to do a presentation on.
Skiing.
Skiing. And I'm going to show you something important. Skiing, if I could spell it, it would be better. Huh? See, there we go.
You do have to know how to spell to use chat. I found it.
Well, I generally have Grammarly running on everything, which is awesome. I'm going to do 8 cards. That'll be easy. Continue. Generate. I'll just put it in this and generate. And so what I do is I'll go ahead and show them how quickly this can be done. But the part of PowerPoints that take the longest time for me are generating images. I go to Pixabay and look all day long, and one slide will take me 45 minutes because of the image, right? The good thing about this is you can, let's take a look at our images. Those look pretty good. They're skiing. Make sure they only have 2 legs and 2 arms. You can change the images here and redo them, right? But what I love doing this in front of my students is then we will critique it and say, wait a minute, there's these are all, that's not a diverse crowd, and here's some here's a clear plan that's really stupid. And so they can see how quick it is, but I also use a site that's totally free called SlidesGo. And the reason I found out about this is my students used it, and it was so professional. It was really nice. It's not as robust as Gamma. It won't give you a lot of information, but if you have all your information, you can put it in and it'll create the slides for you, and which is really helpful. And it doesn't use a lot of images, but it does have thousands of templates. So you can find something and you can, of course, search those as well. So I also tell them how to create study guides. I'll show you how to do that, and create visual representations of data. I'm not a data person. I'm in the humanities, but there's a prompt that I'll share with you. Let's see. Create visual. Here is a sample prompt. This comes from an online free book written by Kevin Yee and his group, his folks at University of Central Florida's Teaching and Learning. And it's a substantial book, and he has 2 books out, and I have the links down below. But see, this would help me if I ever wanted to do any data. I would plug that in, and hopefully it would work out pretty well. All right. Demonstrate collaborative storytelling. What the heck is that? All right. So this is your prompt, and they're going to talk about the Declaration of Independence. You have one group that's going to be Hamilton there? He wasn't there. Declaration of Independence. Well, you figure out if you're a history professor, you would know this, right? I mean, it's right. And so you have one group that plugs this in for Ben Franklin and one for John Hancock, and you would generate a a discussion between them, and then your students can then critique this conversation. They said, Ben Franklin would never say that, right? He would, and John Alexander Hamilton would never say that. So this is also a learning exercise to help your students. All right, prompt engineering. You can give them you can say, all right, you want to do a presentation on skiing. Okay, well, that presentation wasn't clean enough. It wasn't really that thorough. And so you'd say, okay, regenerate that prompt so that it will give you the kind of presentation about skiing. You could say, this would be fun. Say, you know, has there ever been any persons of color who've won a gold medal at skiing? If so, give me the information, and they could run that and take a look at it. It could be very helpful that way. Also, and so then they can regenerate it again over and over. You can save this. This is saved, and I'll show you on ChatGPT. You can ChatGPT has come out with some really cool stuff. You can give them their test back, and if they miss a question, they don't have to ask you. Say, put it in ChatGPT or put it in Perplexity, and ask it to explain why it's wrong. And then they can learn that way. And hey, they may find they were right, and then they can come to you and say, hey, ChatGPT. And then I would say, can't always trust ChatGPT, but yeah. Yeah. Show students how to find scholarly articles, and I'll show you that now. I'm going to teach you study guides. I've been writing chapters of my own text, and so I just put the chapter in, and this is Notebook LM, and in Notebook LM you can add, this is in my way here, but it's not, you can add your source. So I put my chapter in Notebook LM, it gave me a summary, and then I said, I want a 20-question multiple choice quiz, and it created it for me. And it was great because I could do 50 questions if I wanted to on computer. I could do 50 questions, put them in Brightspace, and then randomly pick 20. And they're a little redundant that way, but you can check those out. This is, and you can save that as a note so you'll have it. You can create a study guide for your students. It asks them questions about the chapter. And there's an answer key, which is good. No, Notebook LM is totally free. Let me show you this. I use it a lot. Here are my notebooks. I've loaded a lot of stuff in there. As a matter of fact, it's really helpful for summarizing information. What I did, we're creating a course at CAT to help you to become a better asynchronous teacher. And so there's tons of really good articles out there. I found them. I would put them in Notebook LM and say, summarize each of those articles. And that way I don't have to read 900 pages of articles. Now, it's good. It's drawing information from that only one source. So it will give you quotations. It will tell, and also on the, where was I with Mark? Mark's gospel here. I'll show you. Study guide. Here's the study guide. It's just the terminology. And it created this study guide and just outlined it. And in many cases, you can get it to, if you want, you can get it to cite on what page the information came from.
Mark,
yes.
Both of these examples, you only have one source.
Correct.
The asynchronous one, you actually have a bunch of sources, right?
Correct. I can show you that. You can have up to, let's see.
It's 50, 20 or 50.
Yeah. Where is it? I use it for everything.
Yeah, I was gonna ask for help to create study guides, but I guess.
Yeah, it can do that and
Yeah,
quizzes.
obviously they need some, close review.
Right, right.
That just was
Let me see where that was.
Chad, I call it, not Chad.
Now, well, I can't find it off the top of my head, but yes, you can put up to 50 and you want to find out where to get good information. Our library is really helpful, but you can also in class use elicit. So it only finds scholarly works, right? Spelling skiing, skiing in, okay, so it will find 4 papers and North American Journal of Medicine and Science, so it will give you 4 papers. You can filter it so that it only has PDFs so that then they can load it in, you can load it in. And the current incident of accidents on Austrian ski slopes. You can find a lot of good, and these are all, again, in elicit, you can tweak it so that it's only sources that have been, that have the term for refereed, peer-reviewed articles. And so you can do that. You can, I've done it to find peer-reviewed articles for a class, in my gospel class. I want to find some peer-reviewed articles on the long ending of Mark, and I put it in there, and I can then have students read that. All right, so let's go back. Okay, that covers a lot that you can do with your students. And I thought this quote was really good. The correct use would be to handle AI not as their tutor, teacher, or ghostwriter, but as their sparring partner. And that's where critical thinking comes in handy. Because if you've got a sparring partner, you're going to be in pretty good shape. All right, so I'll skip this section. You can find this in Kevin Yee's book that I mentioned. The original, one of the early authors of a prompt engineering was Dan Patrick, and he came up with prep. I don't like it because prompt, I mean, that's what you're giving it. Kevin and his group came up with capture, where you talk about the context, tell it why we need this input. I'm a college student and I'm writing an essay, give him the context. The attitude, I want this to be academic. Persona, you can role play or whatever. Task, what it is supposed to be doing. Uniqueness asks for certain details and certain language that would be helpful. Requirements, that's 5 pages, and explain how the output is derived and how the LM came to arrive at that answer. You can do that when you put it in your prompt. Now, Kevin and his group shortened it to CPT, and I'll show, or yeah, PCT, and I will show you that you can look this prompt up. And they said, the capture part was a little long, so you just do this and you can come up with a really good prompt. This is also kind of an overview of how AI is being used in the classroom, but you can look at that at your leisure. All right. Let me get this out. So these are some practical tips that you can do. I noticed that in my syllabus, as we were doing the simple syllabi, you're doing different things now because you got it. And so my technology requirements was pretty weak. It said email, computer, PowerPoint, Brightspace. And so I asked it to create one, and I created one, and now that's in my syllabus. I don't have a problem with that, doing that. You can, this is something I tried, and then we should all be doing this. Your outcomes should be tied to your assignments, and this will do it for you, or it'll say, hey, this, and you got to be very careful because it can tell you that it's mapping and it's not actually mapping. So again, you still have to use critical thinking. Create assignment prompts, create quizzes. You can create active learning exercises, develop rubrics from this. Let me show you this. I heard of the term process-oriented guided inquiry learning. POGLE. Have any of you heard of that? I never had. And so I had a class on the nature of the Gospels, in my Gospels. And so I said, do a POGLE activity. And a POGLE activity says there's does it tell you what that means? There's a process. Okay. There's a process for this. And so I asked for 3 activities. And so it gave me this activities fairly good to use in class. You get them in groups and you get them to you read that statement, ask those questions, then list 3 theological themes you would expect to find in a gospel based on this. And so you're asking them to do things in their small groups that I'm not good at figuring out little tasks for them to do in small groups. And this really helped me. I came up with 3. I didn't like all of them. So I asked it to do 3 more. So I had 6. And so I ended up using 5 in class. And so those are good ways to get your class.
So the POGLE is the software, or POGLE?
No, POGLE is a process.
Oh.
Process-oriented guiding learning, inquiry learning activities.
Oh.
And so there is a process. Let me do that. I'm doing this in Perplexity.
But you're doing the activity with the students are doing the activity in class.
Right. I printed these up and handed them out. So yes, this is what I did. Right. Create 3 POGLE activities based on the attached chapter. And Perplexity lets you attach a work as well. And so,
right there at the top.
right. And this is this is from my chapter on the Gospels that I wrote. And so it's asking strictly from that source, which is very helpful.
You didn't use the capture? No.
I did. There is a rubric prompt that I got from Kevin Yee. And I've used that. I'm terrible at rubrics. I can find them and they're never exactly what I want, but I can at least tailor it a little closer to what I want and then make the changes that I do. I hate doing my faculty update. And I got all my data from my student evaluations, put it into Notebook LM, and told it to summarize and give the data, because I'm not good at data. I just cut and pasted that thing, took out the bad stuff, and put it in my faculty update. That's the worst part of my faculty update for me. So I did that. Anybody?
Anybody else?
Andrea? No?
Yes, I use it extensively in a data structures class, which is like the second programming class, not in the first programming class. Students just cheat there. They really will, because they don't know any different. They don't know enough to not cheat. And if they have the tool, it just shortens the amount of time they have to do something. But what I am doing is I've worked with Goop about 2 years ago. Google and I started a collaboration where they were saying, it looks like knowing Gen AI is going to be helpful to programmers. In other words, that just like for the humanities, AI has made it so something like Turnitin is almost indispensable in teaching, that Gen AI was going to make it so that somehow we had to address that component that says that students also will buy a service that just lets them solve our introductory level programming assignments. And so that's a long way to say, yes, I'm using it in a class this semester, collecting some data, trying to figure out where students will persist through with grit in solving the problems without using it, but also opening the door in the way that you have described, Mark, that just says, hey, this is just another tool.
Right. Right. I remember when I was in college, we were using COBOL, right? And I got into a loop and it just, I plugged it in and it just kept going and just crashed the computer mainframe. And hopefully you can avoid doing that. I don't even know if anybody uses that anymore. But
one of the examples, just one of the examples that I often use when we first do it is because, of course, students think that the writing is so precise and they just think it looks like the correct answer. And so one of the examples I often use with them is, let's do a prompt that just says how many F's in 50.
Oh yeah, yeah. 1 is correct. 2 is correct. Yeah, yeah. One of the things I do for fun is if you get one of those emails from a student that's kind of abrasive and nasty, you know, that you want to reply sarcastically and mean, I go ahead and write that, and then I put it in Perplexity to say, this sounds too mean. Make it professional and helpful and offer a little bit of grace. And then it rewrites it and goes, I'll go, okay, I'll go with that one, but I still feel better, right? Because I've written that mean one. So yeah. All right. Next.
It'll tell you at the end.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. And do you want to see the new stuff ChatGPT has just for a second? Okay, let me do that. All right, I found this out about a week ago. So let me do, and ChatGPT, you can put in your YouTube videos and it'll summarize it, but it has to have the transcript. Let me do, oh yeah, let's figure out sorry, I guess I should. Core elements, guided inquiry, process, collaborative learning, those kinds of things. So let's say that I want to work on this. Okay, well, it was working today, and I will. It will show you a canvas, and it'll move your chat to the side, and it'll have your chat in the middle, and then you can edit your chat, and then you can do sections of that chat and redo them. And it also you can click on a button, it'll show you all the changes you made, and you can go backwards or forwards. Where? Oh, yeah. Edit in Canvas. There we go. Thank you. So it puts it over here, and then you can highlight this and ask ChatGPT to fix it or change it. Thank you, Bart. You can go back. You can show all of the changes that you've made. Thank you so much, Bart. So there we go. I'm going to go back to this. I'm sorry. Oh, we got some things in the chat.
There's just a couple people saying they've not really used
Oh,
this.
okay. And so what I wanted to leave you with, and actually I have a few minutes left, which is surprising. I wanted to leave you with this great resources. Again, the first two are written by Kevin Yee and his co-workers at the University of Central Florida. This is an excellent article, AI in the Classroom. And so let me I'll show you this hacks for educators. This is an online free, and one of the things I really like about it is 50 practical hacks. You can go. He gives you a lot of just basic information, but then they go to using capture, what I showed you earlier. Make teaching easier, craft an enticing welcome statement for your syllabus. I didn't do that, but he gives you a good prompt. He gives you a prompt for everything. You see here, they do that he has, and he gives you prompts for all of these. So I've not used all of them. Your biography, that way you can give them information about yourself, which I don't do because, yeah. But there are lots of nudge a student towards success, revise an existing statement. So there's 50, which are really helpful prompts in that book. So that's very helpful. Okay. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I was going to say thank you all for this workshop. It really has helped me to think through how using AI can be a benefit to both me and my students. I think that I thought about it in terms of like the artistic image generators, and I also thought about not wanting for my students to use that. How is it that you can get them to still think creatively in the classroom? And I think that you all have done a really good job of showing me how to navigate AI to the benefit of everyone in the classroom, and even
Thank
make
you.
my job easier.
Well, good. I taught by showing your students how to do it, they open up about it. And the input that I've received from my students is they're afraid to use it because a lot of professors are paranoid. And so they don't want to use it and then get caught and then which you can't, in writing, you can't prove that it was AI generated. There's no such thing as a foolproof checker for that. And so they're afraid to use it, but then, so a lot of them just don't use it at all because they're afraid their professors are going to flunk them or whatever. Or they've done it with an improper prompt and it doesn't look good and it doesn't answer the right questions, but helping them engineer prompts is really helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Normalize.
Yeah. If I could piggyback on that question, one of the things that I am doing is trying to make sure that there are some guardrails on its use. And so, Mark, it seems like you're using it for a lot of different things that a lot of people probably, as they listen to you, would say, well, I'm not sure. It's like letters of reference or recommendation for students, right? Some people are saying, well, you shouldn't use it for that. And others are saying, well, why would I spend so much time? And I have the same question from my students, right? Well, Dr. Edwards, I could write this code in 2 minutes, or I could spend 2 days trying to figure out how to write it. Yeah. Now, I did have to do what you're talking about. I said to them, you don't have to use a private browser. You don't have to do all that stuff that you're doing in the middle of the night. It's free. Let's just use it and see how. But I wonder, Mark, how you go about putting guardrails on how your students are using it.
Yeah, I do that by showing them that cool color-coded handout that Jay gave us. And so I will tell them on certain assignments, don't use it at all. On other assignments, you can use it, but tell me how you used it. And I've asked them to attach the prompt that they used and the original and their changes from it if they want to. So if they're actually writing something for me, I'm very, very specific about that. You have to give me the prompt, you have to give me the original, and then you give me your writing, and so that I can see how much has been changed. I'm not so, because I use Grammarly so much because I'm dyslexic, I don't really care if they're using Grammarly to check it, but not to generate. I've found Grammarly is terrible at generating stuff.
Mm.
So, but yeah, I play with it in class, but I do have, in my assignments, I make it clear what they can and can't use.
I have a question.
Sure.
So what about, yeah, I understand like allowing the AI to generate something for you. But as we go to feed things back into AI, is it now that our information that we're creating is now a data set for the AI? So that at some point, I'm almost like I would be helping other people to write their assignments. And then the
Correct.
information that I have now looks unoriginal. It would almost be like I plagiarized myself because I've given the information away and now other people are using it?
Correct. You can, there is a feature in ChatGPT where you can turn it off so that it doesn't do that. But yeah, there are some ethical issues that I have with, I'm helping I don't want to help Elon Musk make more money by having a better AI, so if there's a way that I can get around that, I do that. And a lot of my work is with Notebook LM, where I'm just loading a document which they don't have access to, hopefully, I think. And I play with that document. But that's a real concern. I mean, you could say, hey, I'm making the world a better place, but the world's not making money off it. The person, Elon Musk was trying to buy OpenAI, ChatGPT. Yeah. So I don't want to put money in his pocket. But yeah, that's a legitimate concern.